Welcome everyone to This Explainer. Today, we're going to unpack a story of truly cosmic proportions. We're looking at a fascinating ancient narrative that fundamentally shifts how we view the balance of the universe, the nature of power, and the true meaning of devotion. We're going to explore how a devastating cycle of warfare was broken, not through more violence, but through an unprecedented act of surrender, ultimately bringing a profound harmony to the world.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this question subverts absolutely everything we usually expect from ancient myths. I mean, when we hear the word asura, traditional stories often translate that to demon, a figure of chaos and darkness. Yet millions of people, especially across India and specifically in Kerala, eagerly celebrate a massive festival dedicated to the annual return of an asura king named Mahabali. So why? How did an asura become a figure of such immense reverence, love, and historical significance to his people? Well, to understand that, we've got to look at exactly where he came from. Part 1. The Cosmic Divide. To really grasp Mahabali's story, we first have to understand the ancestral roots of this ancient, universe-spanning conflict between two distinct factions, the Devas and the Asuras. Let's trace how this builds, generation by generation. It all kicks off in the First Era with Rishi Kashyapa. His two wives, Aditi and Diti, basically become the mothers of two opposing forces. Aditi gives birth to the Devas, who represent light and dharma. Diti, on the other hand, gives birth to the Asuras, who become these avatars of sheer power and revenge. 2 generations down the line, we get the infamous Asura king Hiranyakasipu, who plunged the world into absolute terror until he was destroyed. But look at what happens next. His son, Prahlad, is this massive devotee of Lord Vishnu. Prahlad totally shatters the norm, bringing a temporary peace and uniting Devas and Asuras under the banner of Dharma. Fast forward a bit, and Prahlad's son, Virochana, is prophesied to face an untimely death. To protect himself, he spends 10 grueling years in the Himalayas, doing severe penance, eventually earning a magical, invincible crown from the sun god. And this, right here, sets the stage for our main figure, Virochana's son, Mahabali, who will eventually rise to power. But his rise is triggered by a deeply tragic event. Part 2. The Cycle of Deceit. That beautiful, temporary peace established by Prahlad? Yeah, it doesn't last. And shockingly, it wasn't the Asuras who broke it. In fact, if we look at the subversion of roles here, it completely flips the script on who the good guys and bad guys really are. Take Indra, for example, the king of the Devas, the supposed hero. He uses the disguise, dressing up as a humble Brahmin just to trick Virochana. Once Virochana's guard is down, Indra steals his invincible crown, ruthlessly strikes him down, and then literally burns the body so he can never be resurrected. That's cold. Then you have Virochana, the Asura. He sees a Brahmin guest offering water and righteously accepts it without a shred of suspicion. He strictly adheres to Dharma, the righteous path, even though it ends up costing him his life. So the heroic Deva uses deceit and violence, while the Asura embodies pure righteousness. And this brilliantly illustrates the cosmic reaction to Indra's actions. When Virochana's son, Mahabali, finds out his father was murdered through a dirty trick, he is absolutely enraged. He attacks Indra, but Indra strikes him down too. Just as Indra is about to destroy Mahabali, the skies open up and Lord Vishnu himself intervenes. Vishnu delivers a chilling rebuke to Indra, stating, "Greatness is defined by dharma and truth, not deceit." Vishnu is so disgusted by the Devas' dishonorable actions that he temporarily cuts ties with them. He basically points out that if the Devas use deceit, there is absolutely zero difference between them and the worst of the Asuras. Part 3. Mahabali's Golden Age. So, after the tragic murder of his father, Mahabali's lifeless body is brought back to his kingdom. But his guru, the great sage Shukracharya, uses his mystical powers to resurrect him. And from this resurrection, Mahabali rises not just to seek revenge, but to establish an unprecedented era of prosperity. After earning an invincible jewel-encrusted chariot through a massive fire ritual, he conquered all 3 worlds. But here's the thing, he wasn't a tyrant. He became historically significant as the farmer's king, establishing a utopian rule that deeply shaped cultural identity, especially in modern-day Kerala. Under his rule, there was absolute justice. It was a literal utopia, unprecedented prosperity where not a single person went hungry in his entire realm. He had zero tolerance for injustice. His charity and devotion were so legendary that even goddess Lakshmi, the deity of wealth and prosperity, was deeply pleased with him. He completely transformed a legacy of warfare into a realm of pure harmony and abundance for his people. Part 4. The Vamana Avatar. But as we know, the universe requires balance. While Mahabali's kingdom flourished, the defeated Devas were exiled, just wandering around without a home. The cosmic scales had tipped way too far. The mother of the Devas, Aditi, is utterly heartbroken seeing her children suffer. She prays intensely to Lord Vishnu, and Vishnu, answering her prayers, agrees to intervene, but not through warfare. He decides to test Mahabali's legendary charity. Vishnu takes birth as Vamana, his fifth avatar, but he doesn't manifest as a mighty warrior. Instead, he appears as a highly radiant, yet very small, diminutive Brahmin boy. And the timing of Vamana's arrival is absolutely critical. He shows up right as King Mahabali is about to complete his 100th Ashwamedha Yagna. Now, in ancient traditions, successfully completing 100 of these grand fire rituals cements a ruler's power as absolute and permanent across the entire cosmos. It's the ultimate symbol of royal authority and boundless charity. Into this grand, incredibly sacred ritual walks this small boy, Vamana. Mahabali, true to his nature, welcomes the boy with open arms and offers him anything he desires: gold, villages, literally his entire empire if he wants it. But Vamana asks for something that seems almost like a joke: just 3 paces of land. Just the amount of land he can cover in 3 of his own tiny steps. Now, Mahabali's guru, Shukracharya, instantly realizes what's happening. He warns the king, "Do not agree. That is Lord Vishnu in disguise coming to take everything from you." But Mahabali just smiles. He says that if the Lord of the universe has come to his door as a beggar, well, there's no greater honor than that. Against his guru's strict warnings, Mahabali formally commits to granting the request. Part 5. The Ultimate Sacrifice. The second the promise is sealed with water, the atmosphere shifts violently. The small Brahmin boy begins to grow and grow until he transforms into a towering, terrifyingly beautiful cosmic giant that fills the entire universe. Let's walk through exactly what happens next because it is visually staggering. With his first step, this cosmic giant spans the entire Earth. With his second step, he covers the skies, the heavens, and all the celestial realms. The entire universe is now completely under Vishnu's foot. Then Vishnu looks down at Mahabali and asks, "Where do I place my third step? There is no space left." Imagine that for a second. The silence in that grand hall must have been deafening. The Devas are watching in absolute awe, and the Asuras are trembling in fear. And this is the exact moment that elevates Mahabali from a great king to an immortal legend. He doesn't fight back. He doesn't complain about being tricked. He simply bows down and says, "My lord, place the third step on my head. I surrender my ego to you." By offering his own head, his own life, and his pride, Mahabali does something incredible. He breaks the relentless cycle of warfare between the Devas and Asuras. The ultimate transition from conflict to cosmic harmony wasn't achieved by a weapon. It was achieved by an Asura king, showing the ultimate surrender of the ego. Part 6. The Legacy of Onam. Because of this unmatched devotion, Lord Vishnu doesn't destroy him. Instead, he elevates Mahabali to be the undisputed ruler of the magnificent subterranean realm Patalaloka, with Vishnu himself actually standing there as the gatekeeper. But Mahabali had one final request. He loved his people. He loved the utopia he had built for them. So he asked for a boon to be able to visit his prosperous subjects just once a year. Vishnu happily granted this. That annual return is exactly what is celebrated today as the vibrant festival of Onam. During Onam, people believe their beloved farmer's king returns to ensure they are still living in the happiness, justice, and harmony that he established for them so long ago. Which leaves us with this final, profound question to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. Look at the incredible journey we've tracked today, from generational warfare and bitter deceit to absolute power, and finally, to total submission. Mahabali had conquered the universe, sure, but his greatest victory was actually conquering his own pride. So I leave you with this. Is true greatness defined by the battles we win or the ego we surrender? Think about that and what it might mean for how we find harmony in our own lives today. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey through the legend of Mahabali.